Today we're going to be calculating the probability that Scott Steiner wins at Sacrifice. So this is the video I'm referring to right here, Scott Steiner's math promo, and it might be easier if you read the topography. This is the same video, but this is just the words, the dialogue. So I'm going to let S equal Scott Steiner, K equal Kurt Angle, and J equals Samoa Joe. And I'm also going to use a lowercase d to represent the word defeats. Alright, so for the first round, we have 6 possible outcomes. Alright, so in the first case, the probability that Samoa Joe defeats Scott Steiner, that's a 25% chance. And as a fraction, that's just going to be 1/4. And the probability that Joe, no, this is correct. And the probability that Joe defeats Kurt Angle, that's a 50-50 chance. So that's 50%. And that's just a half. But I want to keep the common denominator, so I'm going to write 2/4. And the probability that Kurt Angle defeats Scott, remember, Kurt Angle knows he can't win. He's not even going to try. So that's just 0%. He's not even going to try. So that's a 0. Probability that Kurt Angle defeats Samoa Joe, 50-50. Alright, so that's 50% or 1/2 or 2/4. Alright. Scott Steiner defeats Joe. He's got a 75% chance. Alright, so that's 3/4. And finally, Scott defeats Kurt Angle. Remember, Kurt Angle's not even going to try, so there's no sense in this even occurring. So that's 0%. Now, for the first round, only one of these outcomes could be true. And one of them has to be true. So these probabilities have to add up to 100% or 1. Okay, 100% equals 1. And they don't. So basically, we can create a ratio, all right, between the probabilities. So since this is 1/4, I'm going to let this equal 1x. Okay, 2/4 is 2 times as great as 1/4, so that's going to be 2x. This is still 0. This is 2x. And 3/4 is 3 times as much as 1/4, so that's going to be 3x. And this is 0. Okay, so these have to add up to 1 or 100%. Alright, so we have 3x plus 2x. And we have 2x plus 1x. And those have to equal 1. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 2 is 7, plus 1 is 8. That's 8x equals 1. X equals 1. And dividing both sides by 8. The 8's cancel, and x equals 1/8. Alright, so since x equals 1/8, this is 1 times 1/8. This is 2 times 1/8, or 2/8. This is still 0. 2 times 1/8 is 2/8. And 3 times 1/8 is 3/8. And this is still 0. Okay, so now 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5, plus 3 is 8. That's 8/8. These add up to 1 or 100%. So that's for the first round. Alright, on to the second round. In this scenario, Scott Steiner is defeated. Okay, so we have Joe defeats Kurt. And we have Kurt defeats Joe. Let me fix this. All right, in this scenario, Scott Steiner is defeated. So in the second round possibility, we have Joe defeats Kurt. And we also have Kurt defeats Joe. All right, here Kurt is defeated. So we have Joe defeats Scott. And Scott defeats Joe. All right, here we have Joe defeated. So we have Scott defeats Kurt. And we have Kurt defeats Scott. And over here we have Joe defeated. So we have, once again, Scott defeats Kurt. And Kurt defeats Scott. So now we have 8 possible outcomes for the second round. Okay, nothing comes from this because there's no chance. And same with this scenario right here. All right, so Joe defeats Kurt. That's 50-50. So that's just 50%. And that's 1/2. And Kurt defeats Joe. Again, that's just 50-50. So that's 50% or 1/2. All right, Joe defeats Scott Steiner, 25% at best. So that's 1/4. And Scott defeats Joe. That's a 75%. That's 3/4. All right, so let's see. Scott defeats Kurt, 75% chance. That's 3/4. Kurt defeats Scott, 25% at best. That's 1/4. Okay, let's see. Scott defeats Kurt once again, 75%. That's 3/4. And Kurt defeats Scott, 25%. That's 1/4. Let me fix the 1/2 so I have a common denominator. I'm going to make this 2/4. Once again, for the second round, only one of these probabilities is true. One of them has to be true. So all of these probabilities have to add up to 100% or the number 1. All right, so once again, I'm going to use the ratios. All right, so 1/4 is the smallest. That's just going to be x or 1x. So everything that's 2/4, that's going to equal 2x. And of course 3/4 is going to be 3x. Okay, so these have to add up to 100% or the number 1. All right, so we have 2, 2, 1, 3. All right, so we have 2, 2, 1, 3, followed by an x in each case. And then we have 3, 1, 3, 1. And that whole thing has to equal 1. All right, so let's see. 2 plus 2 is 4. 5 plus 3 is 8. Plus 3 and 1, that's 12. Plus 3 and 1 is 16. We have 16x equal to 1. And dividing both sides by 16 in order to solve for x. X is going to be 1/16. So x is 1/16. 2x is going to be 2/16. 2x is 2/16. 1x is 1/16. 3x is 3/16. All right, 1x is 1/16. All right, there you go. Now let's circle the answers we got. All right, so I circled all the answers from the first round and the second round. Now, when you have two incidents or occurrences that are independent events, you multiply the probabilities. Okay, so the probability of this and this occurring, that's going to be 1/8 times 2 over 16. Okay, and I'm just going to go down the line. This is once again 1/8 times 2 over 16. This one is going to be 2/8 times 1 over 16. This is going to be 2/8 times 3 over 16. All right, and I'm just going to go down the line. All right, so multiplying fractions here. Multiply the numerator. 1 times 2 is 2. 8 times 16 is 128. And same thing here, 2 over 128. All right, and let's see. Multiply numerator. 2 times 3 is 6. 8 times 16 is 128. All right, notice I have a common denominator for all of these. So that's good. 2 times 3 is 6 over 128. 2 times 1 is 2 over 128. 3 times 3 is 9 over 128. And 3 times 3 is 3 times 1 is 3 over 128. Okay, so finally, once again, one of these outcomes has to be true. So if you add all of these up, they have to add to 100% or the number 1. All right, so again, I'm going to do the ratio. Since we have the common denominators, it's pretty easy. Since the numerator is 2, this one is going to be 2x. All right, all the ones with 2 are going to be 2x. This numerator is 6, so that's going to be 6x. 2x, and 9x, and 3x. Okay, so all of those have to add up to 1 or 100%. So let's do that one more time. We have 3, 9, 2, 6. Okay, 3, 9, 2, 6. And then we have 6, 2, 2, 2. Nothing else. All right, 6, 2, 2, 2. All followed by an x, and that equals 1. 3 plus 9 is 12, plus 2 is 14, 20, 26, 28, 30, 32. All right, 32x equals 1. And dividing both by 32, x is 1 over 32. So if x is 1 over 32, 2 times x is going to be 2 over 32. And of course, 6 times x is going to be 6 over 32. Nine times x is 9 over 32. Now for each of these probabilities, I am going to associate the letter of the person who wins. Alright, so in this case, the letter that's written first is the person who wins. For instance, here we have Joe defeats Kurt. So Joe is the final winner here in this probability. So we have J, K, J, S. All right, so this is J, K, J, S. And then we have S, K, S, K. All right, so this is S, K, S, K. And now we can add. All right, so the probability that Joe wins, we have 2 over 32, and we have 2 over 32. Those are the only J's. So 2 over 32 plus 2 over 32, that equals 4 over 32. All right, we'll do the percentage in a minute. The probability that Kurt wins, those are all the K's. So we have 2 over 32, 2 over 32, and 3 over 32. So 2 plus 2 plus 3. Two plus 2 plus 3 all over 32. All right, 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 3 is 7. And I'll do the percentage in a minute. And then finally, the probability that Scott wins. Let's look for all the S's. We have 9 over 32, 6 over 32, 6 over 32. So 9 plus 6 plus 6, all over 32. 9 plus 6 plus 6, all over 32. 6 and 6 are 12, plus 9, that's 21. Let's make sure. 4 plus 7 is 11. Plus 21 is 32 over 32, so it does add up to 1 or 100%. Okay, so let's do the decimal here. 4 divided by 32 is 0.125. 7 divided by 32, it rounded off as 0.219. And 21 divided by 32 is 0.656. All right, those are the decimals. To convert to percent, you just move the decimal over 2 places. So if I move this 1, 2, this is going to be 12.5%. And 219, move the decimal over 2 places, that's 21.9%. And finally, 65, move it over 2 places, that's 65.6%. So this right here is the probability that Scott Steiner wins, 65.6%. Okay, and the reason that, let's see here. The reason that the probability of Joe is less than the probability of Kurt is because at the beginning, Kurt Angle knows he can't win and he's not even going to try, so that helps him have a higher probability than Joe. But the final outcome is Steiner has a 65.6% chance of winning. And if you add up these 3 percentages, they add up to 100%.